So we're gonna start recording and we'll start again. จุดเรียบสร้อย everyone. My name is Nara, so I will be your host and moderator for this panel discussion today. So this session's built on our previous bootcamp training covering leadership, challenges, changes, and career contributions. So with this having us today, we have two amazing speakers. May I please have Nate introduce first yourself first, and then Kieng on.
Yes, hi, Susdaibo, and hello everyone here. My name is Bunsa Supaniat. You can just call me Nit. So currently I'm enrolling in the Master of Strategic Communication Management at Monash University in Australia. So I'm the Australia Award Scholarship awardee in Tech 2026.
Well, congratulations,
Okay.
Kieng on.
จุดเรียบสร้อย hello everybody. My name is Sok Kieng, or in short you can call me as Case, and I am doing the Master of Agricultural Science at the University of Melbourne, and I'm also the Australian Award Intake 2026 under the Mekong Australian Partnership. Yeah.
Thank you, On. So today's sessions we're talking about how to answer the question number 3 of the Australian scholarship. So talking about leadership, we're talking about giving example. So specifically, the question was, give me 1 second. Let me find the question real quick. Um, So specifically, the question was, how have you contributed to solving a challenge and to implementing change or reform? Be specific and include what aspect of your leadership, knowledge, skill, and practice you consider to be well established and effective. Which people or organization you work with to solve the problem and what creative method were used. So go back to the question real quick. When you first reading this question and start working on these questions, what would be your first, reflex based on these questions? I'm gonna go to Nate first and then Kim.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. So for me, it's like a question that clearly specifically asking you to show what have you done before. And the leadership here, it doesn't mean like you only need to be like in a certain role of manager or like director or anything, but you can any initiative that you have done being as an entry officer, for example, that's also okay to show to put in your writing there.
So how do you reflect in terms of, when you hear the question? Because there is like the main question and the sub question come to and then it is about taking leadership. It doesn't matter, like you mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter in terms of what position you're in, but you still can take a leadership role in terms of leading something. But
Exactly.
how would you reflect on those based on your own experience?
So for me, when I'm trying to think what should I put in to answer in the question, right? So I'm kind of closing my eye and reflecting back throughout my career because I've been working for over 7 years in the media and communication field, right? So I work in different organizations. I move quite a lot. So like there's a lot of experience with me. I lead a lot of projects also. As I mentioned, I raised the example when I was an officer at an organization. I also, so simply I mentioned 3 examples. One of those is me being an officer. The second one, for me being like in another kind of elevate bigger role when I moved to the new organization, right? And the third example, because I'm also like a co-founder similar to you, Wong, of a page called The Slab. So I'm doing the content about sexual and reproductive health, right? So these are the 3 examples that I raised in this question.
Okay. We're gonna come back to that, right? It's very interesting. I'm gonna So back to Saking. Saking, when you hear this question, or what would be your first reflections?
Thank you for the question, Bong. So I believe that people like joining the boot camp is very well prepared, and I heard a little before like the early sessions that some already have so many draft already, which is very cool. And for me, when I um read the questions at first, I my first reaction is to simplify the questions because
Mm.
every application's question is fancy and it was drafted by someone in the field of selecting candidate for many years. So trying to answer those questions in that way would be for me it's complicated. So I try to simplify the question. Really, like what would this question ask in a simple terms?
Mm.
This is my first things to do when meeting this question, and when trying to answer that, similar to Nate have mentioned, it's not about the role, it's about what you did in that situation. So I already picked one specific example to answer that, where that I, instead of reacting to those problem, it's where I thinking about the redesign the project for the improvement. Yep.
Mm.
So that was my first reactions and reflections of the questions.
So what I'm hearing is strategizing.
Um, that sounds good.
Yes, majority of the time, believe it or not, it's not about one of the biggest mistake of answering the question is not fully understand what the question is asking. I'm happy that you bring it up in terms of like, oh, before just start writing, it was like, what are they asking me about? Can I break this down? At the same time, reflecting and like, am I taking this approach correctly? So on and so forth. With that, this question, I think the key word here would be leadership, and then also would be problem. How do you identify the problem in your field? I'm gonna go to Sukyung first and then go to Nate.
Thank you, Wong. So yeah, it's really the ways that I answer it was like structures it in the ways that first I concise bringing up one issue that happened in my sector or disciplines, very specific one,
Mm.
and imagines that the reader would not have any ideas about my sector. So how would I use two sentences to explain the situations? And to be able to identify the issue or challenges that you want to work on in your discipline, it would be for me is really go into the fields, like I'm working on the fields level and listening to the people working for I work in agriculture. I listens a lot to the issue brought by agriculture cooperative, farmer buyers and those things, and see what is the real issue, not just the surface one, but what is the underlying that make the process is really difficult. And even but at this I want to add something that when you so in depth in your sector, most of the time we forget to use the easy term that the reader can understand. For example, in Cambodia we use agriculture cooperative, but in Australia they use farmer organizations. So I think it's also the word choice in addressing that stakeholder also play a role in that. Yep, thank you.
This is interesting. I'm so happy you brought it up in terms of, hearing what people experiencing firsthand, which in this case, the farmer that you deal with, and then also the collaborative, right? A lot of time, those who are in the field and work in one organizations having difficult time understanding the problem. So I like to jump around too when I was younger, Nate. So I work in different field. I work in different organization, both nonprofit, also as well as corporation as well. So with that being said, I was able to identify, seeing the common theme that, for example, if I were to be in agriculture, for example, I work for GIZ, I see that the gap in resources. If I work in corporate, it would be the gap in resources. And if I work for my enterprise, it's going to be gap in resources toward a farmer as well. So gap in resources would be the problem. But why listen to the farmer, listen to the resource provider, what we would be and do our own research, it would be like, oh, okay, this is actually the problem. I think that would say a lot in terms of how we can deep dive into the root cause of the problem. Um, let's hear from Nate. How do you identify the root cause of the problem?
Okay, so for me, it's quite narrower than SK actually, because when I write in my essay, I don't write as the whole field. I choose the problem in my organization.
Mm.
So I write about it. I see there's a gap in that organization when I first joined. That is one problem that I see. And when I join that, I initiate this new idea to do things. And then that's give a great result. So that's what I put in the question essay, actually.
Thank you, Ons. Interesting because a leadership come from different form. Sometimes the field, sometimes the organization, sometimes the project itself. Yes. So I'm gonna go back to Nate. So how do you show but not tell your leadership?
So I think it's kind of descriptive writing. When you put into your actual writing, you have to describe your situation first. Like as I mentioned, we see the problem, but what are the problem? What's the problem there? And then you write it in a very simple kind of descripting word, because you also have word limit, right? So like choose your word wisely, but enough to explain what is wrong with that or something that needs to fulfill. And then you write it now. I see that problem, right? And then this is my initiative is to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And to do that, what are my approaches? And then you also writing your result, because result is very important. So after doing all of that approach, this is the result that I can see coming from that. And that show the great leadership of me at my organization.
Okay, interesting. Do you actually show in terms of, like for example, farmer tend to have the tone of resilience. Um, doctor can have a tone of caring kind of thing. But do you have a specific tone that can show your leadership and, show the value, the principle that you stand for?
Because for me personally, I'm quite a logic person, right? So I don't use emotional word. So I
Mm.
put more facts in. So I show number. I show number of people joining this training. I show number of people that have benefit from that. Number like budget that I spend on it, that I
Mm.
can get this much of amount from it. So it's like more facts thrown into the writing.
Mm. So for you, it's more like, well, like how people use wording to describe their leadership. So for you would be logic and number and make decisive decisions.
Yes, exactly.
Ah,
So I'm more
okay.
like straightforward. So I did this, I received this.
Okay. Okay. That's great. So Kian,
Can I have your question again in short, Mom?
okay. How do you show your leadership?
Okay. Yeah. For me, this question was a bit challenging for me because I'm not really good at portraying the leadership's trait in me. So I do use a little bit of emotional appeal at this question. I write state the issue in the sector in the like 2 sentence, so giving the background idea for people for the committee to understand. And I also mentions what I did in that what I did to redesign the process or repositions the organizations that I work with, because I think in my response it's more about the sectors, not the specific issue. It is the issue within the sector. So that's why I portray how I solve those problems by engaging different stakeholder, collaborate with um, expertise in order to gather resources. And since I'm not really good at portraying the leadership, I also name the leadership skill that I use specifically in the answer as well. Yep. So I
Thank you.
show both the issues, the numbers, a bit of number, but not much, and also names the leadership skill like in specific term. That what did I use?
I actually use this the same thing. I didn't write Australian because I'm not qualified to apply, but I did apply for chimney. So I put straightforward that my leadership is about understanding the cause of the problem and gather the mobilizing the resources to tackle the problem together so that we can create a bigger impact. That I'm just like, pew, just put it there so they can understand. And my example would follow that leadership that show that. So talking about the example, so I'm gonna go to SK. Skiing in terms of how do you choose your three example? Like example itself. How do you choose example? Which one to tell?
I think that is the same question that I asked myself and trying to apply the Australian award as well. Um, we have a lot I think that everybody's have a lot of story to tell, the very inspiring journey from very individual, but how to make yours stand out. So at first, I would write everything, the interesting topics in my sectors, and then um, I would try to choose it what is the most important and really align with the core subject that I apply for. So that is I how I choose the topic, and I really choose just one specific issue, and then put it the possible solution that I provided, and the leadership skill in it. So at first I tend to like very messy scattering thinking, so I write everything down, and then find what is the most related to my sectors. And when I finish the writing this question, mostly I give it to people who not in my sector to read, like how do they understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, interesting. Because I think that is a smart approach to write down everything just to make sure that we're not missing any important detail of that showing our leadership in the field, right? And especially the prioritize skill subject or field that Australian is also looking for as well. And also another smart move that I hear is that asking people that not in the field read it, because majority of the time this is what's stuck in our head. We think it's okay, we think that it's understandable, we think that oh it's a common word, but sometimes when people hear the first time or read the first time when they are from different field, they kind of like, okay, what is it? That make people doubt, that make people questioning you. But having to elaborate, not using the keyword, not using the elaborations would also help by asking people from different fields to read it. So let's go back to Nit. So, Nit, how do you use, what is your strategy to use the example to showcase your leadership?
So similar to SK. So first, try to like write on my notes, right? You have to think back what is your best memory of achieving or performance at your work so far. So you put it on your paper. And as I mentioned, I'm kind of a logic person, right? So I kind of remember all the number, or I go back to find out the number. So when I write everything, let's say there's 10 example there that I can write about. But I see and then pick and choose, like kind of remove any things that not have like kind of, because I tend to choose a bigger impact number. So the bigger number is this, the more it sounds wow, right? Because it's the scholarship anyway. So you have to write it to kind of selling yourself also. So it's better to choose, for me, I think it's better to choose like a bigger number to show like a bigger impact that you have done. And then each example have to link. So as I mentioned in my writing, I write quite a lot. I put 3 examples, but each link to each other. So you have to find a common ground, a common theme, or common keywords in there. So because I'm in the communication field, but there's so many, like communication is very generic, right? You can work in different kind of field, can be agriculture, can be commercial. But for me, I choose the public health, especially the sexual and reproductive health. So as I mentioned, I work in the FHIC 60, which is an organization work on the project about the sexual reproductive health. And then I also have my own project, my founded project, Lasla, working on the same theme topic. So I write the two, connect it together. And then I link to the current position where like what I was working at the time I'm writing the application, right? Which working with youth. So now I have like the sexual and reproductive health and the youth part, and all of them 3 are connecting to each other. So this is how like I put when I'm writing in the order.
Interesting, because for Bong, I think it doesn't matter what scholarship it is. They want branding. They want like a wow kind of like, oh, you in the field, you deserve this kind of, you know, those kind of moments that they want. But as again, it's not a discouragement for those who don't have the number to show as well. But there is some strategy that you can show in terms of outshining your leadership. And do you use star approach to describe your leadership? Or what kind of method do you use? I'm gonna go to NEET and then go to SK.
Yes, well, I did use the STAR approach. As I mentioned, it talk about the situation, what's happening right now, and then what are the tasks, the action that you have to take. And then you have to show like what are the steps exactly that you've done and the result. And more than that, I also plus a little bit, adding some struggle.
Mm.
So I write about it and I say, despite this constraint or with this like limitation, 1, 2, 3, 4, I still able to achieve through doing this and that. So it's like
Mm.
this is like to give the reader clearly understanding what's our journey in order to achieve that thing. And it's to tell them that it's not easy.
Yes, yes. I'm glad you pointed out constraint because we're gonna go into that later on. But let me hear from SK a bit in terms of what is your method of answering these questions?
Yeah, well, actually, I have a lot of stuff, right? But I added, I'm not sure if I use it. I don't really remember it when I wrote it. But how because I'm tend to think in scatter, so my main way of writing is to make it simple to understand.
Mm.
And I follow similar pattern to NEET, but I didn't mention the constraints in the third questions, the third essay. But what I mentioned is that after I propose the change, what is the result and what is could be do next from using the process of redesign process.
Mm.
So that what I added for the further studies that could be used. Yeah.
Ah, this is interesting because there is a question asking about constraint on the essay itself. won't have to reflect about it. It's like, oh, it's okay not to put. So yes. So let's talk about constraint a bit. When we're talking about constraint, we're talking about the barrier that matter that preventing you from fully implementing whatever you initiating, right? So since SK didn't put it, I'm gonna go back to Nate in terms of how do you um how do you identify the constraint, and then also how do you make it so that it sounds like, oh, okay, it is a barrier, but I can control it.
Yep. Also for the question number three, the constraint I put here is very realistic. The actual constraint, the problem that you face when you're doing it or on the work, right? For example, the one of the example that I put there, the constraint would be the budget.
Mhm.
The second one would be the teamwork, I mean human resource, because you have to work alone. In
Mhm.
my situation, because I'm kind of like stubborn, confront with my boss that I want to do it. So I have this only limited of the budget, and then I have to make it happen leading myself. I have to do a lot of work, including all the planning, even admin work and collecting the use and everything. So that's the two constraint that I wrote in my essay. And then I also mentioned that despite that constraint, I want to do that with the help. For example, if I meet lacking of the human resource support, right? So my solution is I found my friends who have skill that can be a free voluntary trainer to my program. So I don't have to spend the money. And then I use, for example, I use the money itself again. I have the office space. I don't have to spend on the venue. And the youth are happy to come in, sit in our office and listen to us. So these are like very simple and the actual problem that you face, and then you can put into your essay.
I think this is a good thing to put it out there because um, when you are being so real, you're able to share it without having to worry about it. And then also, this is something, a tip to all the people who are trying to apply for the Australian award this year too. Try to think of something that you can show your passion by just answering this kind of question. This is so important because when you get selected to interview, you're gonna be talking about this kind of whatever you put it down. So you need to make sure that you are being strategic. You are allowed to put 2,000 character, which is less than 350 words. So it is a constraint itself, but at the same time, you would get the opportunity to do the interview. So during the interview, what kind of elaboration that you need to explain, showing your passion, showing your leadership, as well as think outside the box. Like Nate mentioned earlier, instead of thinking about the barriers, what kind of way that we can mitigate the barrier by actually think back of the available resources, for example, the used room, and so on and so forth. Like, how do you do that? So this is very important and think ahead. Whatever you put down, that is luck. When it's luck, it would be doubtful to keep adding more example in during the interview because they keep questioning. So be truthful to yourself and be strategic about it. Okay? Yes. So, having gone through all the process, it is a long journey. How long does it take you to write this third essay on SK?
Oh, I didn't record how long does it take because I think the first question and the second, like to the last question, it's I think I applies by the mid of the I think
Why?
yeah, but not March. I think early March, yeah. So I applied quite early.
That's good.
But all those questions, because I've been applying Australians award for many, many years, so I keep thinking about it every year. So there's no specific time, but I keep improving the answers over years.
That's good. Um, how do you know that this is the year for you? Just curious because you've been applying many years already.
Mm, I think I also asked this question to many of the awardees in Australians Award as well, and we share very similar answers that we know when is our year because we really clear about our goals and the path we want to take. What are the issue we want to work on? We passionately interesting into like dive deep on that topics. So it's no longer an issue, but it's become a passion that we want to spend a long time and hard work to invest on that, and we wish to see that our effort could contribute to a transformation in the process out in our discipline. So I think that made you know that it's your year.
Um, well, this is it because it's not just Australian, it is actually any given scholarship and exchange program. When you are so clear about what you want and how you get it, it's just like a big push. So because like the reader itself, they are the expert. They are they have many years of experience. They were able to tell in terms of this person is ready, this person is ready. Of course, there is a plot twist, right? For Chevening, I miss a lot in terms of like, I know this person gonna get it, but it's like, but it's okay. But again, we kind of know. We kind of know in terms of this is clear, beautiful storytelling. It connect the dot from one essay to the next to the fourth essay to sum up who this person is, what is he or she believe in, what he or she have done. At the same time, it's so important to this person. That's why they kind of know they have a clear goal already. So with just one big push, this is a good investment to the community. Yes. I'm gonna go back to Nate. Like, when did you prepare your essay?
So similar to SK, actually this is my second attempt that I got it. The previous year was shortlisted for the interview, but I didn't do well in the interview, obviously. So I kind of, to be honest, kind of reused the application that I wrote the previous year, but I just like edited. One is I changed my major, of course. Previously I applied for Master of Marketing, which somehow I don't know like what happened to me, but I think I somehow not the right major for me. Probably that's why I could not convince the committee during my interview, right? But for the second year, I think again and reflect and do like a lot of research on the major. So when I found this major that I'm currently enrolling to, and then that's it for me. So with the major, I check all the unit and then I go back and kind of like revise a little bit to match with the course I'm writing. And and to be honest, Mom, for the third essay, the example is actually the same. I
Mm,
use the same example because it's the facts. So I
yeah.
keep it using it again. And because actually the number three is doesn't really connect. I mean, like it just want to show to tell the reader what you have done specifically in your field. So I just
Mm,
use the same, and I just add in a little bit of what I'm doing currently.
yes. Yeah.
And I think I wrote it actually for the number three and number four. It's quite faster than number one, number two. I'm quite struggle in the number one, number two. But the once you done the number one, number two, number three, and number four is actually what's it coming from you, what's coming from your experience. So I didn't take a lot of time to write it. And then I probably 1 or 2 days, and then I send it to my friends to have review or provide feedbacks for me.
Yes. I couldn't agree more in terms of understanding which essay is the hardest to write. So Bong never write Australians essay before, but for achieving itself, leadership and career goal is actually the hardest because, for example, leadership would show who you are as a person, what kind of problem do you solve. In terms of career goal, and how do you foresee yourself um, pursuing whatever you want to believe in or have a passion in, right? So now that we come close to our time as well, Bong want to recap again. So Bong want to make sure that number one, we answer the specific question, right? So how have you contributed to solving a challenge and implementing change or reform? How well do you think that you answer this specifically? SK?
Your question is a lot harder than the applications question.
It is the application as a question.
Yeah, I mean, you asked how well that I answer it. Can I get a simplified question, please? What was the question?
Okay. So the simplified one would be how well do you answer how well do you think you answer the question of how do you see the problem and solve that problem?
Okay. Yeah, so for me, actually, amongst the four questions, I really proud of that questions the most because it really reflects of the work that I'm proud um of, and also the achievement that I get that can improve the livelihood of others farmers. So which is the proud things that I could write about in short, and to show off to the committee. That the feelings that I carry when written these subjects. And I start very simple, specific challengings, address clearly what I did, who involved in it, and what are the action that I can use, what is the creative or innovative way in my discipline. It doesn't have to be very brand new one, but how would you mobilize resources and reuse the way that it used before, but in other stakeholders. And then I clearly state the results. For me, I clearly state what is the result in terms of financials, but also the change of livelihood or way of farmer in practice. I actually, my topic was about contract farming. So it's like how those farmers can reduce risk because it's more than just numbers, like change in their, but it's about their view on being committed to the contract as well, to use the risk in farmer transaction, those kind of thing. And like I mentioned, I didn't mention the constraints of implement that, but I did mention that after achieving the redesign process, I also use the resolve to introduce another template, which is the in internet banking for farmer, which is the and invoicing, those another technology adopted way. So instead of addressing what the challenge that happens in implement that, but like the what is the result could be used to work further that I avoid investing in.
Thank you so much, Owen. Thank you. I think this is a very interesting approach. If you were to have to write again, would you write the same thing?
Yes, I would still the same thing because not only I've been able to address the issue in my sectors, but also be able to introduce what is the new innovative ways of doing that is still working on but haven't implemented yet. And I would use the opportunity to learn in Australian to work on it and finding the resource to implement it as well.
Thank
Because
you.
I think the way I answer it, because my role were on the resource mobilization, I am bidding for proposal and fund. So I think the way that I answer it, so in order to keep another way to find funds more.
Yes, Yes, of course. Well, like you are bringing all the money together to distribute. Take it out, give it out. Yes, yes. Need. So, if you were to answer these questions, how well do you think that you did on the previous, the one that you submitted and you passed? How well do you think that you did?
I assume it's pretty well. That's why we got here.
Yes, but
Yeah,
what would be, the takeaway and you can share with the audience here?
yeah. Um, I think, to be honest, I cannot think of a better way. How can I rewrite it? Because as I mentioned, it's kind of a luck in facts for me, and I'm proud of what I've done so far. So I think this is already there, all the facts and everything, the result, what I have done. So yeah, I think I will not change it probably. But
Oh, the
anyway, I mean like because of me, like as I mentioned, like I'm not here to like to let other people here say, oh, if you don't have number, as you mentioned, don't worry about it. But it's just like I love number, right? So if I have that, so I really proud when I see, oh, I work with at least I bring impact to 500,000 of young people. I have
Mhm.
raised this much amount of money in my fundraisings. I use that money to work on this campaign that at least create a real awareness knowledge awareness to the youth, and they can have their behavior change, and then blah blah blah. So it's like this is, yeah, I love what I've done, and this is what I have shown in the essay.
You hear that, people? When you love what you do, you're able to show it. Yes. So Bong gonna open the floor for the questions. But thank you so much for your support today.
Okay.
Okay. So let's hear some questions from the audience because this is the 5 week already. They've been listening to tens
Oh,
uh, alumni already. So how do they feel? This is a moment of asking for questions.
I hope I bring value to all of you guys.
Yeah, because they seem to have a lot more prepared than I ever did.
Question anyone?
And in case if anyone having questions, the difference between Australian's award and the Australian map.
Yeah, that is something that I want to know too. SK, can you walk us through a bit? What are the differences? Because I learned that there is a bigger opportunity, right?
So for the Australians Award and the Mekong Australian Partnership, actually the question is the same, but if you want to be like into the pool of get selected, you have to apply for both,
Mm.
and your proposed coursework have to be in the themes that they provide. For example, the map this year they have the themes on transnational crime, um, climate smart agricultures, and many. I think they have 4 or 5 themes. So if you fall into that categories, I would encourage you to apply for both, because when I apply for both map and the Australian award, actually I failed many years. So I was like, what's so bad about failing two at the same time?
Why not, right? Get
No.
it out there.
So and the uh if in terms of benefit we got the same. Maybe you
Mm.
don't have to hear about that. But we get extra leadership trainings in different state or different country. You
Oh,
really don't have to hear about it, Nid.
oh, okay. It's like the same, but man,
Privilege, more privilege.
Not more privilege.
okay. We have to dig down into that a bit, okay? So what country?
So we are in the Mekong country, so the training will be rotate in the Mekong country, which is either in Cambodia or Laos for Myanmar, or in Thailand or Vietnam. It's the five country. And
Oh,
during you base in Australia, you will be have a chance to visit other state for training as well.
nothing different. Just
Mhm.
that.
Just that.
No,
Okay.
even you're a normal AS, you still have a chance to join like workshop and conference in other
Yeah.
states. There's a budget for you to apply for it.
Yeah. Just get a double.
Nothing to complain, especially that you're in tuning and it is fully COVID. It's okay.
It's okay. I'm gonna compensate need letters today.
Okay, sounds good. So, people, this is the chance that you ask questions, and we do have another alumni joining us as well. Yes. No questions. Um, okay, if you don't have questions, I do have question. Chai, if you were to answer this question, question number 3, what is your technique?
Hello, Bong. Hello. Sorry. This was I didn't plan to join actually. I just came to look. So for me, regarding to the question number three, as I remember, it's all about your leadership essay. So I think first of all, to answer or this question, you need to me, I need to pick. First of all, I need to understand what is my leadership skill, what is my strength in the leadership. Some people are good at um, how you can say mobilizing resource. Some people might be good at collaborative works. Some people might be good at supporting roles as the leaders. So there's many leadership style. So you need to understand what is your leadership style first. And then pick one of your proudest experience, one of the proudest experience, but also it aligned to your team. Because in bootcamp, I think everyone who's been here know that there's a team when you are writing it from essay number 1 to essay number 4. So basically, if you're talking about agriculture or talking about supply chain, you make sure that the experience that you're picking need to be on the same theme as well. Make sure it's not, despite it's small, you can still just pick it if you feel you are proud of it and it aligns with the theme. And then um, understand the problem clearly. So and know what the solution that you're providing and what is the lesson learned from that experience before you write it. And then you can just apply star approach plus L, which means SAL, which means that situation, task, action, and result, plus L is lesson learned, so that it will help strengthen the whole experience that you are telling them. Yeah. So this is
Plus,
how I'm,
plus
yeah,
impact.
yeah, plus impact, lesson learned and impact. Yeah, definitely. Make sure it's quantifiable because um, the best way to tell them that you're doing this is the right thing or doing that is the wrong thing is the numbers that you're putting in. So people that read your essay might come from different field, but you're telling them that, oh, one of the proudest moment is that I challenge this, lead this change in my organization, and then this is what I do, and then this is the result. I help build people job. I help get people job. I help create. I help generate more money for the people. So that's what people can see. This is your impact because some of your experience might be hard or for the readers to understand the whole topic. But if you are able to quantify in that particular level, it will help people to get easier to understand. So that's how I write my third essay. I think this is the easiest one. Yeah, just took a
It,
few
dep-
minutes to write. Yeah,
it, it depends.
Yeah, maybe because I wrote a few essay already. Um, Probably because I already wrote the tuning leadership essay, so I just picked one of them. Yeah. At first, it's quite hard thing, but once you get used to it, it's very simple. Mm, yeah.
Okay, so nobody have questions? Okay, I say do.
Yes, I do.
As I do. Um, I think it's all good. Thank you
Mm.
so much, speaker, today for your valuable time and support. Let's take a quick picture together. I thought Chai closed his video and ran away.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Finally able to see everyone's face. Sounds good. Ollie, can you help picture later on?
Yes, well, let me pin the speakers.
Yes. So if you guys want to learn more about finding purpose or grit, Bang do have another sessions coming up soon, I think. I don't know what time in Cambodia, but in the US, I think it's 9 o'clock.
Okay, let me take the photo. I hope everyone is ready. Okay, smile. And 1, 2, 3. And the next photo, we can do something gestures. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, we have another page. I'm gonna say another page, and then
Another cute name.
1, 2, 3. Okay, all cute. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. I know one persons have to stay for clarifications on the questions. And thank you, Niet and SK so much. And thank you, Chai, too, for your support.
Thank you to one, everyone.
Good luck on
Have,
your journey.
yeah, have
Hopefully,
fun writing your essay.
Thank you for having me, Young, and
thank
good
you.
luck to everyone's.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Bon. Bye-bye.
Sorry, more. I would like to stay and listen to the question too.
Yes. Maybe Ollie, we can stop recording.